may be. Here we go. We're all set now. Today is our monthly trade and review session with our channel here, Trade with UFOs. My name is Bojan Petreski. Just want to double check that everything's running smooth on our end, and I think we are all good to go. Just double checking that everything's good here, and yes, it appears so. Let's go ahead and get the disclaimer there out of the way. That is the disclaimer. Not sure why it's loading so slow. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll let that do its thing. In the meantime, though, something that's very, very important. Today's chat room key, 40775. This is the chat room key for today using the Speak Up app. If you don't have it, please make sure to install it. This is a free app, Android or iPhone capable. Definitely get that in there as soon as you can. So that way, if you have any questions, we'll be using this app for chatting. This is completely anonymous, therefore allowing us to get any sort of questions answered. And I just realized that I'm covering this up here. So, of course, today is December 21st, 2022. We're only a few days away from the holiday season here in the U.S. Of course, depending on where you are, that's maybe a little different with the time difference. All right, so yeah, this is a little strange. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is what it is. Let me just double check. I have my phone open here, so if anybody is looking for any questions or has any questions that we've had in the past for the past month, and I'll be very honest with you, it has not been the most active of months, mainly because I personally have been having some issues with NinjaTrader, but we're working on getting those fixed. Should be getting there just about any day now. But ultimately, if you have been trading and if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. If not, we'll review some of the trades we did take in the past month, and take a look, see how they did, see what happened there. We've had some, decent days. We've had some okay days. Ultimately, though, the measurement of what's an okay, what's a decent day, and what's a good day is if we followed our rules and then did those rules produce the results that we were expecting. All right. Now, looking at, let me just try to get there. This. Okay, so I do have the chat pulled up, so we should be good to go. Of course, not really sure what's going on with the disclaimer, but I'm going to make sure to take a look at that in the PowerPoint once we get it going. But of course, the disclaimer that this video, clips, and demonstration is for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. All right, now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to flash this Speak Up link a couple times during the session, just because we want people that if they have any questions, if they have anything that they want to ask, they can using this app. All right, so this is our NinjaTrader pulled up right now. Looking to see what kind of work we got in front of us here. What kind of there it is. My PowerPoint just decided to crash, so it must have been something on the PowerPoint side. All right. Now, looking at some of the trades that we've taken, I'm just going to dive right into it. Going to take a look at some of the screenshots we've taken. We've had there we go. All right, so we've had a couple of little, couple of setups here. I'm just going to go from the last one that I have here. All right. Actually, yeah. Setup. Just looking through the screenshots here, just that, we had an entry that we looked at for ES for a trade that we were setting up. And this, of course, looks a little bit different than what we have here, but it's fairly close. So This is a screenshot that we had on the ES 60-minute time frame. Of course, we were looking at a bit of a variation here with the 8-minute 25.84 and 67.65 volume. We did have a setup to go long from over here around the 39.67 area. So our entry was right at 69.50. Now, why was our entry where it was? No sound. Okay, that's... Let me just make sure here everything's okay. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you just confirm if the sound is good? I mean, I'm seeing the sound move on my end here, so I think that might be what's going on here. Yeah, let me know if you guys can hear me. Just want to make sure that the sound is good. And I should probably be checking that right now. Okay, give me 1 second. I just got another notification that there was no sound. Let me just double check that there is sound right now. Not sure what's going on here. All right, let me just check if there is. All right, looks like I am good to go because I just checked on the thread myself. So there it is. Okay, looks like we're good to go. I think there was a setting on my microphone that might have been off, and that's why I had no sound. Okay, all right, perfect. Yeah, I just saw in the chat that the sound was muted. Okay, got it. Got it. Perfect. Yeah, I just want to make sure because you never know. I've had a couple of basically trade setups that I've done, the flash streams, and they're fully muted. And I think it was on my end that it was doing it like that. It was muted, but and it was showing as if it was working. But the problem was it was muted on the hardware part, not the software. So the software was detecting it fine. The hardware, there's a toggle that I gotta switch on my microphone to switch it from PC to microphone. All right. So resuming where we left off, looks like we are good to go, and we got some work ahead of us here. So this is the setup that we looked at, and this was on 11/22, so about a month ago that we looked at this. Let me just double check that that is the earliest one that we had on the S&P, because we're reviewing basically essentially close to a month or more in the back. But I'm open to review some of the good trades that we've had, some of the bad trades that we've had. What matters is that we execute according to the rules, right? That's what matters. And then ultimately documenting that and figuring out, hey, okay, this is working or this is not working. Okay, so looking at this setup here, for those of you who are familiar with the software, this looks like a very, easy sort of repetition that we got in front of us, but it ultimately, we still need to be aware of the fact that we need to be practicing this to the point where it's really not even a question about whether or not we should be executing the trade. The question should be, are we executing according to the plan? That's really the bottom line, because you should not be asking yourself, well, should I take this trade? That question needs to be answered by your trade plan, by your trade setup, by your trade strategy, whichever way you want to call the rules and management of those rules that you have in front of you to allow yourself to get into a trade. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at and analyze this trade. So we were going long here, 39.6950. 39.6950. This was the UFO that we were looking to take advantage of. But not only that, we also had these two here. All right. And this is very important because I'm going to show something that I recently basically kind of started looking at myself. is the statistical element to each one of these time frames, right? Each one of these time frames has a different statistical element when it comes to bouncing the price between opposing UFOs, right? So we need to be aware of that fact, and we need to take advantage of that fact, in my opinion, because the charts on top of the market analyzer that NinjaTrader offers gives us can give us a very easy, a very convenient view of what that looks like. All right. So let's take a look at why are we taking this trade? Well, a couple things, right? We have a confirmed alignment, right? So number one really should be, should we be trading this instrument, right? So number one is, should we trade, right? And the answer is answered not because we feel like it, not because we're in front of a computer, not because we're investing time into trading, but the answer should be based on statistical information. The answer should be based on something concrete, something objective, not subjective, right? So we should be trading because the climate is confirmed. So the answer is yes, climate confirmed. All right, we got that out of the way. So which direction should we be going, right? Which direction? Well, we need to be looking for look for longs. Why do we need to look for longs? We have a confirmed up climate, right? This is a thick sapphire dot, so it is a confirmed up climate, right? So just right there, we answered every single question. If you were completely, kind of new and getting into trading, like, these questions, I feel like a lot of times can get missed when you're starting off trading, or if you're even, if you're not thinking about these questions when you're trading. I feel like you're probably um, minimizing your opportunities and your availability to be able to profit in the markets. So these two questions, I feel like, oftentimes get missed a lot. So we answered those first two questions. Let me just, my phone keeps turning off the screen. There we go. Good. All right. Sound is good. Awesome. So we answered that we need to be trading. We answered that we need to be looking for longs. Now, where do we get in and where do we get out? Right. So those are very important questions as well, because, we answered them, and I tell you, okay, look for longs, and, go for it, go wild, right? Look for longs. We need to be looking for longs where it makes sense. And what does that mean? Where it makes sense means we need to be finding trades that are both visible to us as traders with the Trade with UFOs channel, Trade with UFOs technology, predictive technology rather. Those of us using auto UFOs and auto climate on these particular time frames, on these particular instruments, right? I mean, futures, they're wildly traded around the world. It's not like it's going to run out of volume. But ultimately, what we see here on the 8-minute, the 2584 tick, and the 6765 volume, those are more or less visible to a probably much smaller fraction of the global trading population, for the lack of a better word. The global trading population is not primarily looking at the 8-minute, the 2584, and the 6765 volume, right? They're not. They're primarily looking at either 60 minutes, 15 minutes, 4 hour, dailies, right? Weeklies, monthlies, right? Those are, and of course the going down to the 5 minutes and the 1 minutes, right? So these are the common ones. And what we utilize here in our channel and with our trading plan that we have in front of us, we try to get those two to overlap. How exactly do we do that? Well, our gray colored charts here, this one down here, and this one up here, are common. Common are the ones that I just wrote out. I want to write them out again, but the common time frames. This one is the 60-minute time frame, is a common time frame, right? Common time frame. That means everybody around the world, if they were to open up any sort of semi decent or okay platform out there, or even just a random website that gives you some sort of basic charting capabilities, is going to have the 60-minute time frame, right? And therefore it is common. So what we see on the 60-minute, everybody around the world sees on the 60-minute as well. All right. So the price action that results from the 60-minute that gives us the auto climate, that's how these two get married with each other, right? The auto climate gives us that directionality on a common time frame because we want to move with the rest of the world. We don't want to move against them. Number one. Number two, the other indicator that we have here, which is the 9 EMA, right? It's the 9 EMA. As you see right here also, EMA, 60-minute, 9. Okay. That's also represented by this gold line here. Gold line there. And gold line here. All right. That's representative of the 60-minute 9 exponential moving average. Also a very, very common indicator around the world. It is one that's commonly used for trading short-term, long-term, trade. Well, really short-term and I would say mid-term, if we could even say that. Longer term, typically they'll use a little bit larger numbers, or at least overlaps, for example, with multiple moving averages. But the 9 EMA is a very common indicator as well. So what we end up using is two things, right? We have two convergences here. We have two overlaps. We have our edge technology, right? Our proprietary patent technology, the auto climate, be giving us results based on this common time frame, the 60-minute. On top of that, we have the 9 exponential moving average also on the common time frame being tied to our edge time frames, right? So this is what ties it all together. All right, so the 9 exponential moving average is what ties all of these four charts together to be able to execute on a trade. And the way we execute on a trade, if you're new to the channel, this might be a little confusing to you, but if you're, a veteran of the channel, or if you use AutoUFOs for a little bit, you know that the way we utilize it is we need an overlap of this 9 exponential moving average with a UFO in the direction that we're going. And as we see here, we have 3 UFOs that have an overlap at that pretty much more or less same exact price level. And that is why we're going in long. All right. So given that you can already see that our entry is at 39.69, our stop needs to be right below the UFO, which I believe on this one, I may even have a screenshot of the entry. Let me just double check. 1122 entry. Oh, set up an entry. Okay, I don't have the screenshot. Usually what I like to do right now is also take a screenshot when we enter on a time frame, such as this. So that, because NinjaTrader does not give you the T1 and the stops already pre-printed over here on the chart itself. It only gives you the entry. They can get adjusted based on your ATM strategy. You have to customize it every time you enter. If you want to enter, if it's, for example, markets are moving really fast, you can actually go into your NinjaTrader and go here in the ATM strategy, and you can do edit, and you can set it up to what you want it to be. All right. If you're moving, if you want ticks, if you want exact price level, percentages, currency, pips, whatever you're trading, you can set it up custom and hit OK. And that's going to be set up for that exact trade. All right. funny enough, I was actually looking to take this right now. There was a UFO right here that got hit, but it's all right. We'll get back to it in a sec. Anyway, so this trade, our stop is down here. It's a tick below this UFO, 64.75. So this should be at 64.50. Our T1 should be somewhere around here, just looking at it visually, and our T2 is all the way up here at this first opposing outside ring of the UFO. Now we're going to talk about these a little bit because we already had some questions on it from on our website. So we're going to go through those as well. Let me just open them up right now, actually. All right, but let's look at this one. So how did this one end up being? This one ended up being an exit for $500, it says here. Trying to see what actually happened. It looks like it did pull back. Oh, I think I know what happened with this one. 69.50 was our entry. Yeah, this must have been one of those where it starts messing with my chart. But as you see, the limit entry was 69.50, but the current price was already at 69 even. So something must have been going on with my chart. We could definitely go back in time and actually take a look at this. But ultimately, what I've documented here is that this trade was a stop out, negative $500. Right, so that's right there. That's why I try to document these, so that way it's easy, it's transparent, we all see it, everybody's happy. All right, looking at, let's see here. Looking at our next trade here that we had. So we're going to go through these a little bit easier now because now I have. So here's the setup. First confirmed down climate. We're looking for a short, entering at 39.70.50. So 39.70.50. Okay, and this one you see it's still showing the Dow. The entry point is right here. We got in on this trade. This trade ended up triggering T1. So there's the entry. This is why I said, this is why I like to take the screenshot so we can actually see where the stops are and where the limits are and everything. Ultimately, the T1, I think, was definitely a little bit lower than this because we had still some issues loading the opposing UFOs there. And then the ultimate exit right here ended up being it moved down, got the T1, we moved our stop down, so it was a definitely profitable trade. The reason I couldn't document what was going on is because, as I said, I'm still having some issues with the platform itself. Okay, other than that, let me just see here. Just looking at my trade screenshots, I know we had a couple of flash trades that we did. Just trying to find where they may be. They might be on my laptop because I was also testing it out on my laptop to see if the issue is with my computer. Ended up not being my computer. Just goes to show is, even though I have a really good computer at home, sometimes things just don't want to work that the way that they're supposed to. In the meantime, as I mentioned, we're going to look at some of the questions that we had. Let me see here. I can't find, for some reason, I cannot find the flash trades, so I'm going to have to go on our channel to find the flash trades. In the meantime, though, let's just kind of keep the chart open just in case we get into a trade right now. It never hurts to to see if things do open up for us, right? It is an over. Oh, this is what I was going to show you guys right here. So this is the market analyzer. This comes with NinjaTrader as well. This is what we typically look at when it comes to trading the instruments we're trading, right? This is basically very similar to being able to kind of get a pulse for the market without having all the charts open on your screen. So we see right now there's a couple of things here that we're seeing. It's first of all, it's giving us what the last price is, right? So where current price is right now. Auto climate max distance, that it's 0.36 out of 167. So that means, as long as this number is smaller than this number, you're typically okay. If the number like here and here are larger, it's typically either a hopeful climate or you're just very late, as it says here, right? So that just goes to, those are the, how many deviations is this market extended at? And I'll explain that because that's right here, right below here. This is something brand new that we have in the platform that it just gives us just more ammunition, more ability to chunk information that much faster. All right. And then, of course, the auto climate spread, right? If it's near the EMA, and there's another one of these where you'll see it. It'll say it'll have an arrow up and an arrow down, which means that it's most likely going to be changing climates, if that's the case. Because, for example, on let's say on the euro, we have a down climate. It's a little bit too far out. I guess it's one ATR away, as you see. 0.88 is the ATR right there. It's the first one out of 5, so it is early, but it's a little too fast that it's gone down for. So 0.93 out of 0.88. So that means, the spread between the EMA and the current price is 0.97, so essentially 1 ATR. So that's why it's not near the EMA. Just more information that shows there. But something that I've been looking into myself and recently been essentially looking at and just trying to kind of crunch down some numbers is this information on the right that I have here on my market analyzer. Using the market analyzer, you can actually plug in the different time frames and what the UFO stats probabilities are for those time frames against that instrument that you're looking at. So what I ended up doing here is for the ES, right? The 15 minute percentage time frame is giving a 68.52% probability. The 8-minute is at 66.6. However, look at the tick and the volume, right? 77.7 and 71.4. Right, I mean that's impressive, and then not just that, but the Dow on the volume is giving us 88.89% probability. And what does that probability mean? That probability is basically the following: if you have a red UFO and if you have a green UFO down below, the probability is, what is the probability of price bouncing between these UFOs? So what is the probability of a bounce? Meaning what percentage of time does price touch an opposing UFO and then touch the other side, right? So what is the probability of this happening on that instrument? And as you see on the Dow, on the volume, it's at 88.89%. That's information is key, because anything that's lower probability, you need to be aware of, number one. But number two, anything that's higher probability, you also need to be aware of. Market analyzer into the workspace. So the market analyzer into the workspace, you just go to your NinjaTrader control panel, and then this should come with the workspaces, but you just go to your NinjaTrader control panel and then you just do market analyzer. So I'm sorry, I realized that I didn't bring this here. So you go to NinjaTrader here, you go to new, and then these are all the items that you can have pulled up on your screen. And the market analyzer is right here. So if I were to go new and then market analyzer, this is what it'll show up as. It's going to be blank. All right. And then you can start filling out information here. You can add instruments, right? The different ones that you're trading. You can add a blank row, a label row. So you know, okay, this is futures, and I can't type. All right. That's futures. All right. You can play with it, quite a bit. It's not something that is that crazy to do, but ultimately you can just add some instruments here. Um, you can add a whole set of them if you want. You can select all and just add them all. And then where it gets fun and where you get to experiment with things is you go to columns. You just right click anywhere and you go to columns, and that's when you can get you know the things that you want to pull up. And this should, if you have the Auto UFOs app and Auto Climate, this should already be populated for you. So you can see where the nearest sell UFO is, where the nearest buy UFO is, ATRs to sell, ATRs to buy, Auto UFO stats, Auto Climate spread. I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what max D is. I'll have to ask Jose. Max distance. I'm sorry, I do know what that is. It's max distance right here. It's max D. And so on. And you can add any one of these things. You can add VWAP. You can add really anything you want to add to the market analyzer to make it more convenient. But ultimately, it's looking at these things and realizing how things are going. All right. Looking at some trades though. I wanted to pull up the okay, so the ES just opened and we've had no change in the climate. So I'm just trying to find these. That's the options. I'm trying to find the flash trade I had posted for December. I know I did a couple of flash trades that I did for December, and then we realized that that we're having some issues with some of the charts here, but I cannot find it for the life of me. That's weird. Okay, well, we're gonna have to figure them out. And flash trade UFO idea. There it is. December 6th is the one we were looking at. Features. Yep. Yeah. So we did have a couple of them from December 6th, actually. That was we had an ES short. Just trying to figure out where it went. So we had an ES short that we did on December 6th. And then we had actually two trades on December 6th. So that's what it was. I was like, okay. And the reason why I don't have those trade screenshots are probably because they're on my laptop. All right. Let's see if we can get something in front of us here. I keep forgetting to get this to plug in. Got it. Okay. Yeah, no problem. So the only one that we saw here, so right now the markets are open, but right now, okay, so the NQ actually popped on us here. The reason why I wanted to just kind of keep this, yeah, I'm still having the issue. Okay, yeah, I'm still having the same problem I had before, which is where you see that my DOM and my chart are getting disconnected essentially. The DOM is 73, 75, this is 73, 75, this is at 74. So I'm still having the same issue, so I still cannot properly execute on these. Um, so we're not going to be looking for any live trades because that would just be silly. If the technology is not working for you, if the information we're seeing is not the one that we're supposed to be seeing, then we don't take trades because that's just a form of gambling, really. All right. Um, Looking at some of the questions we've had before, let me pull them up. All right, so this, of course, is on our website. This is something that everybody has access to right here. So you go to tradewithufos.com/Bojan, and you can access some of this information that is on here. So, we had a question for the future session. There was a couple there. I remember answering these. With Ninja on the charts determining the final target. So that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit, about determining the final target, the kind of the revised way after the Ninja Trader switch. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So for example, as you see here, first of all, these UFOs, you see that they look a little bit different compared to these over here. All right. So the reason why they do look different, the market's just going wild, and to the point where I can't even right click this chart. As you see, it's kind of frozen. The reason why I wanted to explain this is that these are actually filled UFOs. So they're not unfilled UFOs, but they were here, right? These UFOs were in these locations. So there was quite a bit of buying going on here. And rightfully so, because look at this move from 38.64 all the way up to 38.84, right? That's a 20-point move in essentially an hour, right? So that means that there was definitely a lot of buying going on there, to the point where a lot of those UFOs, and from the looks of it, all of them got filled. But the reason why we still want to be aware of those on this chart is because, especially for short-term trading, we want to be aware of those because we still need to be respectful of them, mainly because people will see these areas as what they are, which is strong buying signals coming up. So the way we do this is the following, right? We have a UFO. This is the first one that we have here. Now you can trade this to your preference, right? If I were to be trading this right now, the easiest one would be right here, 38.68. That's my T2. Right? That's the easiest way to go about this. Now, another way that you could go about this is because ultimately these are not unfilled orders, right? These are filled UFOs. These are filled orders here, but there may be still remnants. If the pressure, let's say if price was too close and you wanted this trade to work, you could always look at the overlap, the nearest overlap of these two UFOs, right? So where they overlap right here could be your T2. Right, so that's kind of the explanation that I would like to offer when it comes to setting these T2 targets. Nonetheless, I would say, whether you got filled here, right, or you got filled there, either scenario is a good scenario, right? Can we agree on that? Either scenario means that you were right on the direction, and you were you got filled at the right time, and you're getting out for a profit. Now, if you were to be trading with multiple contracts, right? Let's say you had your, I don't know, let's say you had your T1 here, your stop was somewhere here, and your entry was right here, right? So this is our T1, that's our T2, T3, right? So if you had multiple contracts though, right, you could take one off here, you could take one off here, and you could take one off here. You might think to yourself, well, yeah, if I had unlimited money, sure, I could be trading with more contracts. Well, there's definitely different ways to skin this cat when it comes to getting some volume behind your trades and getting some multiple contract trades executed. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to send me an email. You can send it to me at boyan@tradictive.com. Right there is the email, where there's different opportunities and different platforms out there that give you access to different information and different. Sorry, I like doodling. Um, Different access to even money when it comes to, and then if you haven't heard of it, prop firms, for example, are very popular for futures. So that's something that you could always access if you're thinking, well, I don't have $15,000 to be trading a $450 stop on a trade, right? I don't want to be risking more than 2%. And I would say, you're right. You should not be risking more than that much. All right. Yeah. Other than kind of even when I reset the platform, it was still giving me issues. So unfortunately, that's that for this one. As far as other trades that we've had, we also had this is from FX Street. So if you watched me there, we also had a couple of trades there. As far as just kind of analyzing different trades, we have trades galore to go through. I would say one of the highlight trades that we had from a while back was a silver trade, of all things. It went from T1 to T2 within the trade session, which was a pretty impressive thing. I'll be with you guys in a second. All right, guys. Sorry, it's 6:44 in my time here, but my son decided to come down when he usually comes on at like 8. So, but that's just life. All right. Now on the Stark side of things, we've had plenty of other trades where we've hit stop loss. I was really hoping that this would potentially turn into a sell because we do have a UFO here that we could use, but ultimately you don't know really what's going down here because, as I said, the as you see, the prices are there's a difference between them. So this is something we're working on still. All right. Let's see. Looking at some of the other questions that we had, which was so we took care of that with the final target, opposing UFO on the 15 time frame. Yep. And then I just kind of answered all the questions that were kind of asked in multiple ways. So sound issues, we got those resolved. Flash trades will be posted at the end of the month. The 2 time frames to the left and the 15 time frame where we get them from. I think that's because I covered it. I think with the notes. And yeah, resolution being blurry, that should not be something that should be happening. There's a way to force YouTube to get you to make it not so blurry. And I just realized how dark my camera was there. I think this is probably one of the sessions that we're looking at. So if you, I'll just stop this. If you hit the settings button here, and then you go to quality, instead of on auto like it's most of the time is set to, you can actually set it to be 1080 HP. All right. So that's a way to kind of force YouTube to give you better quality Depending on your connection, though, it may like end up pausing until it loads and so on. Just wanted to share that with you guys. And then, yep, depending on the field, could have been a time stop or a complete stop out. And my trade ended up being a time stop at that location. So, other than that, folks, I think we're gonna have to cut this a little short, mainly because number one, I can't trade. That's issue number one. And issue number two, we've already reviewed everything we had to review. So, I'm going to give everybody a couple more minutes here to let me know if there's any questions or any comments. And if there isn't, we'll just go ahead and close the session and call it a day. And of course, if you have any questions, as I mentioned before, please, feel free to send me an email to my email address, which is boyan@tradicted.com. And we'll be going from there. All right, let's see here. Chat's good. Are you done yet? Alrighty, folks. Thanks so much for joining me today. I will catch you next time. Take care.